still don't know. And then yesterday in the game, I don't think there's no real issues. Most of the people came back who kind of left, and I really think that was the only thing that I would have for you from an injury standpoint right now.
Mm-hmm. So day to day, that's an improvement from week to week.
That is that. Certainly.
Last week you were kind of doubtful.
Yeah, certainly getting better. Certainly has a chance. We'll have to see him move around a little bit this week, and move around a little bit today. We'll get more feel for that even by Wednesday and even by Thursday and even Friday, whatever the case may be. When you talk about a guy like that.
And just coming out of the game, just where y'all at with special teams issues that.
We played awful yesterday on special teams, and I don't know how to say it any other way. You can't give up a kickoff return, and you certainly can't muff it on the 2 and give up 10 points on teams. And we were fortunate that was only 10. Our defense went out and did a great job on the kickoff return and held them. And there's always things you can talk about the rest of the team you can get better at, but obviously that was the glaring thing yesterday. It was like you're in the game and you're there and you think you know what's going on. You come out, you talk about it, and you say what happened, and then you go back today and you just really confirm all the things that happened from a standpoint of you just can't have those 2 big glaring mistakes from a special team standpoint. And we haven't played great all year. We gotta do a better job at correcting those things in the week.
Do you have to consider starters on the units?
You always consider that anyway. Like Ty Lazier is one of the guys that plays for us in most of the special teams. We got a lot of guys out there that play that way. You got to put people out there to get the job done. So we've always done that, and we always will do that. We'll always look at the focus of that when it comes to personnel as well.
Do you have a standard rule about where you're going to catch a punt?
Yes,
It used to be never inside the 10.
It was a 10 when we grew up. It's the 8 now. You stand on the 8-yard line, and you don't back up. That rule's the same. That rule does not change. You're exactly right. You could take that one from your Pop Warner days to your high school days to your pro days, and that mistake can't happen. That was just inexcusable.
Did he lose sight of where he was on the field?
He had to. When he was doing the Peter call, had to lose flight where he was at. I went to fair catch it, ended up being on the 4 or 5 or whatever it was, and ended up fumbling it to the 2. That can't happen. So that rule is in place and will always be in place forever as we know it.
I know you talked about it a little bit post-game, but are you considering any staff changes with respect to the special teams unit? Because I know you said you started kicking it into the end zone with the touchbacks.
No, we kicked it in the end zone. Strategically, 18-3-4, they're pretty good returners. And we have not been playing well in that phase. Didn't want them to affect the game. Made a decision to kick it, and the one we did kick it to them to try to gain some momentum. Get a tackle inside the 20, get a tackle inside the 30, get the defense, go out there and get a 3 and out, get the short field for your offense, and kind of cap that game. Which we're putting ourselves in position for, and boy, did that bite me. Ended up getting returned back to the 10, 13, whatever it was, and defense kind of came out there and got a nice 3 and out and got us out of there. But we got to find a way to get better there. So whether that's changes from a personnel standpoint, from a philosophy standpoint of kicking it to them, whatever the case may be, we got to find a different way to do that.
I mean, you're essentially coaching with one hand tied behind your back in some of these situations. Like to predetermine that I have to kick the ball out of the end zone. I guess there's some consistency to it or some security to it, but in the same respect, putting them on the 35 each time is not ideal for you. It's hampering the way you coach.
Not ideal, but it was the best way to try to win the game yesterday. So not to say you did it every single week, but we definitely decided to do it yesterday. It was something that we thought we can do to win. It was something that certainly has got us out to a lead. And then we did try to cover it, try to get one tackle, make one play, one moment. We didn't get it.
Speaking of plays and moments, just critical drops in that fourth quarter.
Really, that last drive. Really that last 3-play sequence. Kyle would have been a tough one, contestant, but he definitely can make it. Obviously seals you over the middle of the field. Contested, but he certainly can make it. We're talking about putting ourselves to kick a game-winning field goal and get out of Dodge, get into a slow 2-minute, and walk off, be a lot happier. And then obviously the last play to Mooney. All of those were drops or considered drops or a play you got to go make. And those are the plays you got to make to win football games, and those are the plays you got to set yourself up to make that play at the end. And we had 3 of the players that we wanted to get to and 3 good looks at it, and Kurt did a nice job of delivering to where he's supposed to throw the ball, and I didn't get that done.
Just want to confirm, are you considering staff changes on special teams?
No. No, not at this time. We are obviously in the midst of it. We're at the season. I got a lot of confidence in what Marquise does. I got a lot of confidence in the coaching techniques. I got a lot of confidence in the guys to be able to go out there and execute it. We have just not done that.
Going back to the receivers, Kadero Hodge was a healthy scratch yesterday.
Yes.
And then Casey Washington also again a healthy scratch 2 weeks in a row. What's going on there? Because now gotten to this point where this receiver room doesn't have Drake London, and it looks very different than maybe it did going into the season.
Sure. You got to go out there and find out who can give you the best chance to win. Yesterday we went with DT. He went out there and made 2 really big catches for us. When we talk about speed and doing some of those different things that we got provided from Casey, that we were getting in the offseason. We were getting that stuff early on, a little bit in the preseason, and it hadn't been as consistent. So from a performance standpoint, he kind of outplayed him in practice, so we got some DT out there. Last week with Kadero Hodge, he didn't do some things right, so we had to make a change there, try to get a spark. Put Drummond up on the active roster. Drummond was able to go out there and play a little F for us the last 2 weeks. 1 week was a flex, 1 week he was up, and Drummond's done a nice job for us in that role, providing us some a little bit of consistency and being able to go out there and make some plays and do some different things on offense. So it's always going to be a performance base and try to see who can give you the best chance to win. Won't always be like that every single week, but whoever gives you the best chance to win that week, you got to go put out there.
With regards to the performance on special teams, especially coming off of Sunday's game, you said that when you decided to let go of Ike Hilliard after week 3, that was a performance-based decision.
100%.
What's the difference between what the performance issues were then and what's happening now?
I think the communication would be different. The line of communication would be different to the guys. I think we better get those things corrected from a communication standpoint from Marquise. To be able to get to those guys, to be able to get those things done. I don't think that the communication was done the right way with the receivers and how we did things with that. So that's why we made the change there. It was definitely performance-based. This definitely was a performance that grants these questions. Certainly understand that, but I believe we can communicate these things and get them done the right way to fix those things, fix those problems. You know, we got a history there where we play some really good special teams. We got some really good players to put in position to go do some of those things, and we got to go put those guys out there to do it.
Raheem, what's the balance when you talk about, you know, getting Drummond up? Because I think he's obviously done some good stuff for you. DT being up, and he made some plays, but then you balance it with Kadero's one of your better special teams players. When you try to balance those two out, how do you make that decision?
You always make it based on the performance of the week. You know, how you do it in practice, what's going on, what are the particulars involved in all those different things. You know, DT obviously, you know, gives the speed element that Casey Washington provided for us. That we were hoping to get a bigger role out of Casey Washington that DT was able to provide for us this week. Not to write Casey off, because he can certainly come back this week, bounce back, do some really good things in practice, and put his name back into that category. But Drummond, you know, came in a couple of weeks ago and really made some big-time plays for us, whether it was a slider with the timeout at the end of the half there, to be able to go out there and execute those things and really form the trust level since he's been here at multiple positions, being able to do different things of that nature. You know, Drum also has played some really good special teams for us when he had the opportunity to. And no different than DT being able to go back there and a part-time return job for us as well. So, like, all of those things have to be balanced. All those things have to be discussed. And all those things will be done every single week as we go into our roles, as we try to figure out how to win the next game.
I'm not saying one guy makes a difference, but Josh Wood's not playing for you the last few weeks on special teams has hampered you a little bit too.
It hurts. You know, it always hurts. Anytime you lose any of those guys, whether you're talking about Josh, whether you're talking about guys like Mike Ford, some of these critical factors on your special teams when they're missing, that's definitely something that will hurt you in all the different aspects of it. You know, like we've been able to flex Robinson up the last couple of weeks, and he's done a really nice job for us. So having an opportunity to get him up, do some really good things for us as well, could be very helpful.
Do you need to add depth at wide receiver if Drake can't go this week?
We got guys that are capable to do the things, and nobody can be Drake on our roster, so I'm not going to be telling you that. So we will definitely go out there and try to move that thing around. You know, Pitts took a lot of the weight yesterday. You know, obviously we got to get Mooney back going again. Got to get him going like he was going versus the Saints. So if you can get Pitts going and Mooney going, that would certainly give you a lot of belief and a lot of confidence in that receiver group. And then everybody else can play their complementary part, being able to go just do things the right way, get in line, and then allow Bijan to be the best version of himself like he was yesterday.
I know it's, you know, everybody's a professional and all of that. How do the guys emotionally get back up after kind of another gut punch loss?
The guys are always a little bit different than the coaches. You know, coaches take a little bit harder than the guys. You know, these guys, they are competitors. They love playing. Obviously, today is always going to be tough. You know, obviously today is always going to be tough when they got to hear the truth, you know, from their coaches, from their coach, from everybody, all hands on deck. But when you get back out to practice and you get back into the mode, these guys are competitors. They love to go out and practice. They love to play. And I got a lot of confidence they'll go out there and do that for us.
What are some of those hard truths you're telling the team now, especially when it comes to closing out games?
A lot of those hard truths I won't tell to you guys. That's why we call them hard truths. I'll give to those guys real hard, you know, honest evaluations and feedbacks. But a lot of those things are just basically the stuff that you probably know, that we don't necessarily tell you guys the right way, you know, how we want to say it to you guys, but we got to get back to doing the things the right way at all phases. And yesterday particularly was special teams.
Have you seen anyone among the like special teams unit kind of step up as of late? We always hear about some players on the offense or defense, but it seems more rare among special teams.
No, not with Mike. We got Mike Ford on our football team, and he is an absolute dog. And he is very prideful. He is very he is very down yesterday at his unit allowed a poor performance, and that's how he said it to me. And it's not my words, it's his. And I know he'll bounce back this week and get all the guys going.
When you look at the growth and development of just your front four and the way you're able to send for, what have you seen from Brandon Dorlus, Rick Roro, and what their impact in creating that?
Brandon Dorlus has been special for most of the year, and he's grown so much even in the run game that I had to point it out last week. But like his stuff in the pass rush game has been absolutely awesome. His ability to win one-on-ones, his ability to get the matchup and win one-on-ones, his ability to move around for us has been awesome. Rook has done a really good job, particularly in the pass rush settings, and he's gotten better in the run settings, so I'm really fired about that. We constantly talk about the young outside guys and what they've been doing, but watching James yesterday rush, that was the moment we talk about, right? James making an inside move on the spin, getting the sack. That should be the killer for us. That should be the driving factor that stops that drive and get the ball back and go score and win. It didn't happen, so we gotta get that done. But I'm really pleased with how those guys are growing and how they're playing every single week. You know, yesterday I know it was only 2 sacks. We let the quarterback out the pocket just a little too much, about 44 yards of rushing. But the guys are getting better, and they are a youthful group that is thriving in that area.
You had 2 full weeks with Kirk back at the helm and sort of putting in and implementing a new offensive strategy with him there. Is it getting easier now? Are things starting to become more seamless?
I wouldn't say easier. I would say just getting the rhythm with Kurt. You know, like getting him back out there, making him comfortable was the first step. I think that happened with a nice win out in New Orleans. And I think this week going out there, getting him comfortable and the things that we're going to do. You know, you're able to implement all the things from up under. You're able to do the stuff in pistol. You're able to do the play actions out of both formats, and you're able to get the ball down the field. You're able to get better on third down in the second half. Do all those different things. But like he's really done a nice job of giving us a chance to win. And no better explanation than the last 3 plays that we just mentioned a while ago. He put you in position to win. He gave us a chance. We got to make those plays.
Are you surprised by the decline of the receiver room just in general from last year, having 3 guys who have career years to now what y'all are going through now? And is there any multiple things that you can point to as a reason for all of this? You know,
Tori, you never talk about this, but it's injury. I mean, who are we kidding, right? You know, Mooney got hurt the first day of camp. Drake's out now. You know, obviously, Ray Ray's no longer with us, but all those things happen, and you got to keep moving. You got to keep going. But nobody ever make excuse about those things. But you know, we're not as healthy as we were last year.
Big goal is always playoffs to start the season, and that just feels very far away at this point. But
no doubt.
How do you, I guess, compartmentalize and kind of get these guys? I don't want to say motivated necessarily because they're professionals.
No doubt.
It's their job, but it's like, how do you approach this as a head coach?
Football is our business. Winning is our game. Is our job. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, it's a Mike Tomlinism of all Mike Tomlinisms, but that's just the truth of it all. The truth of the matter, right? Football is definitely our business, but winning is our job, and we got to go out there and do that.
Anything else?
Yes, Coach. Seattle's coming in this town. Slim Darnold, y'all faced him last year. I know you're not going to start getting ready for him, but what are y'all seeing that? What Coach McDonald's doing with the Seattle team?
They're going to be one of the best teams we've played since we've been here, and they're very talented. You know, Smith and Jigma's coming to his own as the #1 wideout. Obviously, that defense has got it going. You know, a lot of those guys over there, Adam Durde, who was here as defensive coordinator, and what Mike was able to accomplish has been outstanding. They got DeMarcus Lawrence, they got Williams, they got Murphy. They got a bunch of guys that are in some significant spots in their career, and they've done a nice job, and they play really well. They got Ernest Jones in the middle linebacker with the green dot, fan favorite, guy that we won the championship out in L.A., leader, absolute dog. And the secondary is getting better and better. They got the young kid from South Carolina playing nickel for him. They got Witherspoon out there playing one of the best corners in the league. You know, Woolen, who had one of the best rookie seasons that we've seen. They're playing at a very high level, along with that offense with the 2 running backs and that O-line. And and Sam's has really been a nice addition for those guys.
Thanks, y'all.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.